Okay, so in JavaScript, there are three different variable types: var, let, and const. Each of these variables have several rules around how they should not be used and how they should be used. And like they have different characteristics. And based on our use cases and our objective, we have to use either one or the other. So the first way to declare a variable, how can we do it? We have to declare it as var. The second way to declare it is by using let. And the third way to declare a variable is by using const. So these three variable types are important types of variables in JavaScript. Alright, so we'll now see the difference between them. So let's dive in. As you can see with the first variable type, var x equals 25, it's showing that var is the declaration and that the value of x is 25. After this, if we declare var x equals 100, it will affect the 100 to x. And then if we write x equals 40, without declaring it, it will also run this and give the value of 40 to x. So we are basically declaring and assigning different values to x, and each time we overwrite the previous value. So to sum up, in JavaScript, if we write var x equals 25, it will be printed in the document.write. If we rewrite its value as var x equals 100, it will run the rewritten code, the rewritten variable value. Also, if we assign the value of x without the declaration, like without the var, it will also run it and give this value to x as well. So this means that in var, like by using the var variable type, we can declare the value and can also assign the value multiple times. Now, when it comes to the second type, which is let, let's see how it works. So in the let variable, you can assign the value one time, and if you rewrite the value, it will not work. And that's exactly why I'm highlighting it in red. As you can see, it's highlighted in red in front of you. Okay, so however, if you assign a value without declaration, it will work. So this is the difference between var and let. In var, you can assign and declare the value multiple times, but in let, you can only declare the variable and assign a value to it once. Alright, and now on to the third variable type. So the third one is const. With this one, there is no option similar to var and let. You can only declare one time and one time only. So that explains why the second and the third lines are highlighted in red. Okay, so let's sum up what we just learned. We use variables and we assign a value to a variable. If you want to change the value, you will use var and just rewrite the value. Like by declaring var x equals something again. So that's how you do it. Or for other purposes, you can use let or const, which are more rigid and which won't allow you to change the value given, like that you affected to the variable that easily. They won't allow you to change it that easily. Alright, so now that being said, keep in mind that JavaScript variables have only two scopes, local and global. One side we have the global variables, and on the other side we have the local variables. We'll discuss these variables' scope after we cover the concept of functions. Alright, so go to VS Code, take some variables of var types, and assign values to this. Example, MetaBrains. Save it. Now, if you want to override this value, write var and assign name, example, nothing, and save it. It will update and print nothing. Alright, I'll override this value without declaring it, example, hello everyone, and save it. It will print this. You can assign them three different variables, for example, the second, and here name it 2 and save it. So first it will print name because the value is assigned. The second and name 2 are different values. So if you want to print all of them, you copy it and paste it twice. Alright, second and name 2, it will print it like this. So can you see the result in front of you? They are very attached to each other and there is no space between them. In our previous lecture, we discussed about the use of tags. So, alright, I'll use a break tag here, copy this tag and paste it here. Now comment this highlighted section. Let's implement this copy and paste it here. So uncomment it, delete the last two values, and it's working fine now. Okay, so right, let var, copy and print it here. Just change the name into meta. It's not working, okay? So if you remove this let, it will work now. And as you can see, whenever we declare a value in a variable, we can assign multiple times a value to it. Of course, this is contingent upon the variable type that we've chosen. So always keep in mind the different variable types. Okay, so in let, you can overwrite a variable or declare it one time and assign the value multiple times. In const, you write the const variable, assign a value to it. Like you write its value is equal to meta brains, for example. You use document.write print statement. It will print it. Okay, so now if you assign a value to it multiple times, but in the const variable type, it will not work. So you cannot assign a value multiple times with the const variable type. But in the document.write, you can assign a value to it multiple times. So for example, write name, it will not work due to similarity. Okay, change its type to name and name to. And by using this, we can use these three variables and assign values. Alright, so the var can be updated and redeclared. And when it comes to the let variable, it can be updated but can't be redeclared. And for the const variable, it cannot be updated or redeclared. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this lecture. And now on to the next one. Alright, so in our variable lecture, we discussed already about the fact that there are 5 ways of declaring variables, which are var, let, const, global, and local. We also discussed about var, let, and const. Alright, so now let's dive deeper into the topic of the global and local variables and how they exactly work in JavaScript. Alright, so also keep in mind that we talked about the functions as well, how they work, how they are used, and that would be essential for us to help us understand like the global and local variables. Alright, so let's talk about them. First, create a variable x, assign the value of 20 to it, make a function fun, print the value of x using document.write. Okay, so it's not printing the value of x because I've not called the function, so call the function, save it, and here you go. Can you see what I'm doing? So it's printing the value. Okay, so now I'll create a variable and assign a value to it, let's say 30. It's showing undefined. Okay, so let me comment this, and here you go, we get the value of 20. So it prints the value of 20. Alright, so now let's see the difference between the global and local variable. Print the value of x using the document.write. Now this is the global variable. The variable outside the function is the global variable, and inside the function is the local variable. So the global runs inside the function, and it also runs outside the function. That's why we call it a global variable. While the local variable is used only inside the function. So a local variable is used only inside the function. It's local. It exists only within a certain periphery, only within a certain vicinity. Alright, so the local is used only inside the function. Now let's check this. Comment this, uncomment this, change the value and save it. And now it's showing undefined because I've used this before. Okay, so document.write, so do this and save it. And as you can see, we have the result. If I remove this now, the value is still running, but it will not run outside the function. Alright, so to check this out, cut it, paste it outside the function, save it. And as you see, it's not working because it's the local variable. And yeah, so it doesn't work basically outside the function. That's the main difference between a local variable and a global variable. A local one is just defined like within the vicinity of a certain function, while a global variable is defined all across our program, all across our code. All right, and now on to the next lecture. All right, so the previous lecture was about console, and this one is about advanced console. So, all right, let's see how it works. So first of all, create a variable name and write metabrains to print this. Use document.try statement. And if you want to use the developer tool, write the console.log and print the value using small brackets. This will not show on screen, so press F12 and you can see it on the console box. So it prints metabrains. Now, for senior developers, they use console log to check the errors. And if I write now error and save it, it will show an error in red color. So can you see this? Can you see this? It's so interesting, actually. It shows the errors on different websites due to this console log error. So that's why it's very helpful for developers to identify the errors. Now, if I delete this and create an array, specify some names, and I save it, these three are displayed as errors and like arrays. All right, so there is one more, console.table. This is used to show errors in the table. It shows the index value. And the next you have like console.warn. You use the warn here, which is related to warning, and you write it here. Okay, so apparently something is wrong. It's not displaying because I have to print a statement, not a variable. So put a double quotation and save it. And it will show up like this. So you copy this and you paste it here, and it will show up like this. Now you use console.time, you go to the last one, you use this console.time and save it, and pay attention here to what I'm doing. It's not showing because the value is not assigned. So write test and save it, copy this, paste it here, and here you go. Can you see it? All right, so it's showing the time end of 1 millisecond. This is showing that these 7 statements used 1 millisecond to run. Like they run in just 1 millisecond. All right, so so basically you can check the time of the statements running by doing what we just did. And now on to the next lecture.